Welcome to the Six-Figure Author Experiment, where we help you break through your first or next $100,000 goal. Parental discretion is advised. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hi, Lee.
Hey, Russell. How you doing?
I'm doing freaked out after last Steve episode. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I got up yesterday and I was ready to do things, and I quickly devolved, and I'm like, can I just quit? So I went through a whole range of emotions in the last couple of days since that episode, and it was great. But we were talking about beforehand. It's like sometimes you show someone an opportunity, and sometimes you start weighing them down so much that they're just like, now there's too much. So I have many, many questions.
Yeah. And I was excited to do an episode to talk about last episode because I actually was really inspired, but I've taken his course before and I skipped parts of it to just make sure my business, my Shopify store was up and running. And I skipped a lot of the click testing stuff he talked about. And I'm excited to go back and dive deeper into it. However, my whole thought at the end of that talk was, what actually sounds fun for you to do? What is the bare minimum that you're like, yes to?
Well, so here's the thing about anything desert related, which includes optimizations and virality and all of those things. Don't like any of it. Like the result of it. Don't like doing any of it. And here is the thing. I was actually talking about this on because Monica mentioned this on one of our calls with back with the virtual conference. Maybe it was yesterday, maybe it was 5 years ago. And she's like, Lee would say, what sounds fun to you? And I'm like, yes, but often eating your vegetables is not fun. So you can go through a time, especially when you start getting to a top level where you're like, okay, ads don't sound fun to me.
Mm-hmm.
But you need ads. At some point you just need ads, and you've got to find some way to do it. So I'm trying to embrace a part of my business that is overwhelmingly unfun. So to me, it was what feels like it can be effective without being overwhelming, which is not as fun as saying what is fun to you.
Well, I think of it, what is the least amount of work I can do for the most amount of result?
Right.
To get me 70% of the way there and get the result. And someone asked me, when do you decide a book is done? I'm like, well, a book could never be done. It's not like a math equation with a set ending or set number, but I get tired of it and I'm done. Yeah. And you're just done.
Right.
So
such a Forrest thing to say, by the way. What a Forrest thing to say.
Well, we have to embrace our inner desert, you've been saying. And I'm excited to do that because ultimately marketing is storytelling.
Right.
And we love stories. You have a landing page. It exists. Yes. You went and spruced it up. The only other thing I would do is raise the prices. I'm not quite sure about raising to $9.99, but I would take all the prices that exist on Amazon right now or wide on other retailers, basically. So if it was 99 cents, $5.99, $7.99, $7, whatever those are, just add those up, make that the full price and slash through it and make a discount of any number.
Sure.
And it could be $1 off. I don't care. And let's set up one ad because you have advertised this before.
Yes. So currently what I have done since Steve and since we talked, I think I said this to you, but I have gone through, maybe we should pull it up, but I think Steve had a lot of real good points. Just I am not going to make a new landing page. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do 4 books and then 2 books, then 6 books. I'm just not going to do that stuff because it's here. I think it's a very good idea. But that is a very good idea that has to be future Russell's problem. Okay.
It's future. Yes, because there will be time when you have infrastructure set up and you get excited about adding something or changing something. And if now is not that time, I would push it as far as you can, and then let's run an ad to it. A single ad with a pixel. Done is better than perfect.
Here we go. All right. So things I have done since we saw this last time. One, you told me to add the $30 in God's Verse comics to this, which I think is a good idea. And so I did that. I don't remember if we talked about that last time. I don't remember when since we originally showed this to you 6 months ago, I have added that. Also, I thought a really good idea was taking the testimonials and bringing them throughout the page. So like I have said, the things that people care about are the covers, the bonuses, and whether the story is good. So like I have done the first 3 things you see on this page, besides the countdown, are covers, bonuses, and then like someone saying nice things about the story. And I think Steve's was really interesting when he said it has to do multiple things. I forget the things that he said specifically, but like it can't just say good book, really good book, book so good. It has to be like about the story. It has to say like what moves people. Like it has to be an engrossing like testimonial. I thought that was really good advice.
It was so good, and this is great. You made this change immediately, and I love it.
And then I upped the price to $25 instead of $20 because Steve said it costs between $12 and $20 to get a sale. And that's the case. I can't have the price at 20. I may even move it up to 30.
I would say $29. That's my gut.
And he said 27. So like
Ooh.
I'm probably going to move this up, like you said, to 30 because I don't have anyone going through this sequence. When I moved, I think at some point we talked about the disaster that was what happened with Flowdesk. And when I moved over to ConvertKit, I don't have anyone running through this sequence right now. So, so I think I can up it to 30, 29.
Before you up the price, please email all your new and old subscribers who are now on ConvertKit.
Yes.
And say, this deal is going away. I'm upping the price.
But they don't ever see this. No one's supposed to see this deal unless they are a first-time subscriber. So like so
I would still do that because I just did that. One of my box sets is going away on my Shopify store because I have new discrete covers so I can sell the individual books. And I just made a quick $2,000.
Cool.
So I would just email them and say, this is the last chance. And the comics are included, guys.
Sure. All right.
And then, so you have it. It's ready. I would just send that email, but you don't have to.
All right. I'm going to think on that because I do have a launch for the whole series coming out in September. So like, with a new book in it. So I'm going to see. Then I have the same thing, which maybe I should add a whole nother testimonial right here. Maybe.
The testimonials, I have to say, I love them because it's easy for my eye to see.
Right.
I would actually.
So he said 3 to 4. So I added them at the very top. And then I was like, okay, as you're scrolling through the books, I added them like 3 or 4 throughout the course of like, as you're scrolling through the books, you see them. But it feels like I should add more. I mean, I'm scrolling through it, it's pretty clear that I'm like, oh, this feels like it needs one. I need one here. I need one here. Like I need one probably at the top here. And then also right before all of the testimonials, I should have one big testimonial.
Yeah, you have some longer ones. So if you can find a short one, excellent fantasy, that would be fine. And I would change if you're willing to do some changes. If not, don't worry about it. But I would change. I would have the only images on here are the book covers. Everything else is a solid color.
Oh, you mean the backgrounds?
And I would actually take that chart away.
Yeah, this is the timeline of the whole series. So people have told me it's very confusing if they don't have the timeline. So this is a note from humans who said, I need to know when everything happens. I don't know if first person people need to see it happen because it's inside every book, but that is the methodology behind why I added it, because otherwise, what we're talking about, there's currently on the page, there's a timeline at one point next to the pricing that is like when everything happens. but like it is a lot, and I maybe it should be taken out.
I would take it out and just email them, hey, here's the timeline. This will help you get through the series once they've purchased. They don't
Sure.
need this before the purchase. It's a map for the people who purchase.
Sure. And so
But if
I will
you
make
are done with this and don't want to touch anything, you could just set up an ad and just go.
sure. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to have to go and add a couple more testimonials throughout here.
And
So
don't hate me.
no,
I think you should take away the comics.
yeah,
Sorry. Here's why. You have the Godsverse covers and they're very cohesive. The comics are not. And it is
sure.
enough for this page to say, here are these beautiful books. Here are some great reviews about it. Here's the price. Here's a little bit more about each book. Here's a great review about it. Here's the
Sure.
price. That's it. I don't want to confuse people.
I mean, you have to see these things. So like you make a plan and then you put it in and then you say I don't like it. I didn't like it already. So like I'm happy you said that. It's because like I do think it like it kills the cohesiveness of the thing.
And if you have those comics to sell later, like one day you're like, I'm going to sell these comics. You send the email, you set up the page and you upsell or whatever, but you don't have to create all that infrastructure right now. Right
Sure.
now, we're just doing Godsverse and see this. I would make the background solid. For me, when I scroll through this page, it's just a bit busy and your covers are so good. I want your covers. And then honestly, I kind of want the other solid colors to be cohesive with those covers somehow. So matching the gray, matching the gold. I don't know what will look good or not. You are better visually than me. And I have struggled to build landing pages, which is one of the reasons I don't have them anymore. I would hire people off Upwork to help me because it would be a million years for me to make half of this page.
Sure.
So you're already ahead. You have it. Is there a way to quickly duplicate it?
Yes. I have it duplicated 4 times actually. So I have each email that goes out gets a brand new landing page too.
So you could duplicate it, make changes, run ads to both, $10 to this one, $10 to this one.
Sure.
Set up an ad test. So after 400 impressions, the ad turns off and you just compare.
Sure.
That's a very deserty thing to do, but it's very simple. And again, if you don't have the bandwidth for this, just set up one ad and call it a day and go live your life. You have a lot going on.
Sure. So since I'm going to add more of these, do you think I need to have this, there's a section that says what people are saying about the series and like call it out? I like some of these ads because it says one of these is like delightful take on the, maybe I can just pull some of these ads out and like just make them a thing, but like I had them here instead of like interspersed in the page. But if I'm going to intersperse them in the page, should I also have this section here?
You don't need it.
Okay. All right. And then the other thing that I did was I really liked what Steve said about putting the price at the bottom of each one in a different color and slashing through. So you can see at the bottom of each one, it says like $4.99, $4.99. We have everything at $4.99 right now. So like I put them at $4.99 and figured out to ask about the pricing thing. And then he did say, one of the things Steve said was you don't want too many of these because then it is overwhelming in the other way. And like people go the other way on it. I think I can add maybe 1 or 2 more, or I can pull a couple more out of this like morass up at the top and just like use those. I didn't use any of these because
you could just move that section to the very bottom. Yeah. But people aren't going to read that.
Sure.
They'll probably read the big pull quotes. So if there's one in there that is the best, and you're like, yes. I don't know if I would use the don't make me punch you in the face one, even though that is my personal favorite. I love that your reviewer said, don't make me punch you in the face. Buy these books. Yes, that is the sort of raving fan energy we want. But I would just make any solid color on here match the book covers and no other images on here, but I like your face. Leave your face on at the top. And then So those images behind are very cool, but I would just make the page cohesive. Again, if you don't want to do it, you don't care, you don't have time. But that way I don't have to parse what's going on this page. There's some text, there's the price. By the way, make your book one $4.99 because it is a book that is worth paying for, or make it any price you want, but strike through so that book one doesn't
this
say
is book zero.
$0. Yeah. Price it
regularly. Okay. $2.99, $3.99.
Yeah. Regularly it is worth something is more what you're saying there versus, oh, I just give this one away, which is true, but you give it away not because it's worthless. You give it away because you're nice and you discounted it.
Sure.
So
Sounds
I would
good. There. Now, what about the rest of the pricings? Are we moving them to a different price? Are we keeping them at? Currently, I have everything priced at $4.99.
Whatever you want. I do think you could charge $27 or $29 for this bundle. I like 29 better than 30.
Sure.
But you can do whatever you want. And
no, I mean, sorry, I mean each book, the individual
books. And then each book, I don't care.
Yeah.
Is it a big hassle to do it? Don't do it. Test this, see how it goes.
Well, I mean, I now want to go to the retailers. So like now we're going to go to the retailers and like say like they're $4.99 now. Should they be $5.99? Should they be $6.99? Should one be $5.99? So here is the thing. I'm very confused about what I'm doing for this first book because I thought I understood what I was doing for this first book, but it feels like I'm doing less things for this first book than I originally thought because we're making it like full price. So most of the newsletters aren't going to push like a full price book, unfortunately. So the things that I pulled out that like are going to be for this first book launch are running ads to direct store, get BookBub pre-order alert, email, get people to send for me. Send own email.
Yes, couple times.
Period. End of sentence.
Written word media is running ads.
Yes. So like running those, so getting those ads up also.
Written word media does that.
Sure.
They're doing the 5-day stack. I want to see how that does. And then I'm hoping they do awesome and you just do that.
Sure.
And then they will send out your discounted books.
But later.
And I was voting for later so that you sell a full price book, see how it goes. And when later books come out, you discount it. It's up to you. That's how I would do it. And I think that we did talk about pricing after book 4, pricing those higher.
Sure, I haven't put up anything past book 4 yet.
Exactly. And I was thinking, okay, those are your chunk that you sell at a discount. And then later books are at $7.99, $8.99. Steve said do $9.99. Do it.
Yeah. What's interesting.
Very open to whatever feels right.
So what's interesting about this is we had a call recently for the end of our virtual summit, and someone said, what do I do to get excitement for a book 1? And I said, don't bother. Because, that was flippant. I didn't mean like, don't bother. But like, what I meant was, and what I expanded on was like, you are launching a series, hopefully. And like, even for me, who has 12 books in a series, like a lot of things are locked off in the first book because like, I'm doing a full price. Well, if you want to do a free book, you can then do, or 99-cent book, you can do bargain Booksy and free Booksy and all sorts of other launch strategies that like aren't available if you're trying to actually make money on this book 1. And like, even though book 1, like we are talking really about like a 4-book launch strategy or a 12-book launch strategy that like ramps up over time and starts, I think, like rather modestly. Like we're going to run somewhere between $10 and $20 of ads a day to this landing page that we're working. for the 3 weeks before we launch, and like hopefully like way after we launch, it'll go up from that. And we're going to get a pre-order alert from BookBub. We're going to run some Amazon and Facebook ads through written word media. We are going to send our own email, and we are going to have other people send email, which is probably the thing that I am dreading the most in this entire process.
Oh, then don't do it.
I'm gonna try. I'm trying to get. Well, I mean, one of the things that happened this month was the book club that I was part of, like because of reasons, like we canceled it. So I'm like, oh, I have like 12 people who like are almost guaranteed to send for me because we're in a book club together. Like, why wouldn't they do that? And now like that evaporated, and like I don't really want to deal with that. So it's like I was happy to do it, and now it like since I agreed to doing it, and now is like I have a lot of feelings built up about that thing, which is kind of important to, I guess, to talk about for like everyone else, right? Because like you agree to a thing, and then like feelings about that thing change, or like a company goes out of business, or like a thing like you have a plan and 10 people are like, that's a really no, you should not do a book tour for your first book. You just shouldn't do it. And you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do it. Like we've been now talking for like 2 months about this launch. I think I don't remember when exactly. It was sometime in March. It's like it's been 2 months, and like we have changed this plan 100,000 times. I feel like every episode we're like, but what if this thing? And like we've been doing this a lot. Like we've been doing this a long time. We've done a lot of book launches, and even we're like, okay, like maybe it should be free. Maybe it should be $9.99. Like the difference between a 99-cent launch and a $9.99 launch is 10x. And like the amount of excitement you can probably get is 10x, for more than 10x for like buying a 99-cent book versus a $9.99 book. But if you're like, I'm going to launch this book, then this book, and this book. When people ask, why do you launch a series? This is why. Like you are building, because you now have 3 bites of the apple. Like a book that was $9.99 at launch, if it's 99 cents when book 3 comes out, suddenly like that's a big motivator. A book that starts at 99 cents, like, okay, I can pick that book up anytime.
That's a good point. I like that. And yes, the launch plans will change always. And you get in the middle of your launch and you realize the pre-order app that you installed on your Shopify store did not work. And you have 300 of your dearest readers not receiving the book, even though you begged them to buy in your store with 5 million emails. And you need to make that right, make them whole. And the paperback has the wrong spine, and you fix that. And hopefully you uploaded the right file. Hopefully you made the pre-order deadline, because that can happen. And your Facebook ad account gets shut down, and you just move on and forge forward, and you can still have a great career. And Renee and I have had our Amazon account shut down several times. And that series made over $1 million last year. So we definitely email them to get the account back. We got it back, guys. And we continue. For that person who wants to do a book tour, I wouldn't do it. I would say don't do it. But if they really want to do it and it sounds fun, and they really just want to go sign books in a tiny small town in Maine bookstore, and they want to go to the lake anyway, go to Maine, go sign the books. Maybe you'll bump into Stephen King.
Yeah.
And
you made such a good point, because like one of the things that I tell writers about all the time, and readers too, but mainly writers, the ones that it's like, if you want to do a thing, you should get the information about what to expect, and then just do it. I was on a call, like I think last hour, it was recently, and I was telling I was talking about this daily email that I'm starting, and the massive, and I was like, it's hard because like people are on both sides of a spectrum, and like some of it will work for some people, and like for the most part a book tour won't work, but it might. like you don't know, because like there's a 1 in a million chance that like it's gonna catch fire on book talk from anything, literally any social thing that you do. There's like a 1 in a million chance that like it actually will go viral. It won't go viral, but like, does it matter? Like if you're doing things that are fun or that you like, or like my friend had like a red carpet premiere for their book. It's
Right.
like that cost them like so much money, but like they just wanted to do it and made them feel like more of an author. It got them excited to do the next book. It like made it, and it's like, especially if it's your first book, you
Yeah.
should assume it will not sell and
Yeah.
then do whatever you want. And but then know that like you're gonna write 3 more books, and that's because you really don't like, you have no idea if a book's gonna sell or not until you like really write 3 books in that series. Like I don't think you can reasonably expect anything from one book, because like they might love a book and not buy the next one because you wrap things up too well. You might like that you might break something in the middle of your book, and like if you have a second book, no one's going to buy book 2. You might have a book that like has a not that doesn't have a great take rate for book 1, but like has a 98% read through for book 2, which is like unheard of. You just don't know what's going to, like, all of those things are going to significantly impact the book, like your career. And until you have like more than one book in a series, it like probably doesn't make that much sense to run ads for it. Just doesn't. Like it's hard for me to like, unless you're in, I was like, unless you're in like Shifters, Mafia, like
Yeah.
contemporary thriller, like these are series that like have big enough audiences that if you hit the middle of the market just right, one book could make you a fortune. Like
Yeah.
mostly, it
But maybe
probably,
you
but
wrote
maybe.
the Eat, Pray, Love of Gen Z, and you're gonna go to those bookstores and you're gonna make it happen. But if it's not fun for you, don't do it. If all you get out of the thing is the experience,
If there
would you
is,
still do it?
right, because like a book tour does things for you. For instance, it gives you a lot of backlinks. And like backlinks, when someone looks up your name on Google on Amazon and they see a bunch of articles, like does it affect them buying the exact book? No, but like over time, backlinks matter. Over time, SEO matters. Overall, your overall like PR matters on a long time horizon. It probably doesn't like sink or swim any book that's not like
Mhm.
Elizabeth Gilberty book, or like a book that like has such a big audience that watch Oprah, that being on Oprah like matters. Um, but like over 10 books, over 3 years, having backlinks about who you are and like having reviewers in your corner who talk to you or like pick up your book, like those things matter as a whole. So a lot of the advice is like, this doesn't move the needle, but like if you do it across 5 years, being on 20 podcasts a year moves the needle, because you're on 100 podcasts. You have like 1,000 backlinks on Google or whatever. Like those things. So it's like if you have a job and you can dump money into like doing anything that you want, like probably a blog tour is not a bad idea, because you go from 0 backlinks to like 10 backlinks. Like that's pretty good. But like, if you are tight on money, it's funny. I was just in a meeting and someone was like, "We used to look down at the direct." He worked at an advertising agency. He's like, we were doing big brands. Like we used
Yeah.
to look down at direct response, and it's really funny how like the entirety of marketing now is direct response advertising, which is you click on a thing and get a result. But
Yeah.
like when you think of a cohesive brand image, it's so much more than that. And when you are thinking about book 1, like
Mhm.
book 1 is the first book in your brand, overall author brand. Not saying you're going to do everything in the same series and you won't change your author brand 10 times, but like it is one data point of your brand that will hopefully last. I mean, I'm hoping that over a 40-year career, someone wants to write 40 books, like a book. If you're not like excited to write book 2 and book 3 and book 4, like you're probably not going to get very far in your career, because like
Yeah.
it's,
Do
but
something
like
else. It's
Yeah.
fine.
But like if book one is like the data point, then like, I don't know, a blog tour is probably fine. Like it doesn't hurt you. It like takes time, but like it makes you think about the book and get marketing better for the book and like talk about this thing you're supposed to love. And like if 100, I'll tell you that first book I put out did not get 100 sales at launch and definitely got more than 1,000 sales over the course of its career, the Gumshoes book, and I've given it away tens of thousands of times. So like probably eventually your first book will be something you give away.
Yeah. Oh, you want to know about my first books?
Yeah, sure.
For years, I told myself I couldn't be an author. So just uploading to Amazon was a huge step for me. I was so happy. I made $50 January 2015. I uploaded a short story, a big long thing I wrote in college. That was the start of my now very beloved Berserker series, Paranormal Romance. And I uploaded a Mafia trilogy. None of those books exist on Amazon today in their forms. Two of them are down. The Mafia trilogy, I pulled it down to fix it. Couldn't do it. Stasia Black helped me. She's incredible. She has had trad deals. She knows how to edit. She took this behemoth. We launched it together in 2019. It's the biggest launch of my career to date. We completely rebranded it, and it's a much better book and series. We spent ads on book one. They returned, which I'm hoping is going to happen, by the way. Your page, I'm hoping you start with $10 a day and you see money come back and you get excited. Dude, you're going to optimize that page when you start spending $10 a day and making back 11 or 20 or a million, I hope, whatever. But that's when you're going to go in and tinker. Becca Syme says, build infrastructure around books that sell. Don't build infrastructure around books that don't sell. So I'm hoping, and I believe that you will see a return, and that will motivate you. You'll go, dude, what if I could spend $50 a day? What if I can spend 100?
Right.
And that's when we start to see the big effects on other retailers. So my goal is by launch date on Amazon, you're spending at least $100 a day, if not a couple hundred. I don't know if your market will take $1,000 a day. If it does, it probably won't take it for very long. But I don't know anything about targeting options of fantasy romance authors. Just fantasy authors, not the romance. But maybe you do try the romance. They're readers. They like romantasy. I don't know. And I'm hoping Written Word Media, we can go spy on their ads. And if there's a winner, you can start to pull it and then use it to the store and keep hiring Written Word Media to do ads. Or it all fails and you go, wait a minute, this is a waste of time. I'm not doing any of it. I'll do something else.
Right.
And you go on a book tour. I'm kidding. You do something else.
I mean, I am a metrovert. So like, as long as attention's on me, I will do it. Like if someone has a 4-person audience, I'm going to do it. Like, this is my big secret. Like I mean, I don't think it's a secret anymore. I'm not really an extrovert or an introvert. I just like when attention's on me. So like I don't like being in big groups when I'm not the center of attention. It's not my favorite. I also just read Surrounded by Idiots, which is like the worst book title for a great book about like personality typing. And yeah, so okay, so as we get out of here, I have a funny story about this. I read this book, Surrounded by Idiots, and it's like about 4 different personality types: reds, yellows, blues, and greens, and it's based around the DISC system.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I texted my wife, I'm reading this book, Surrounded by Idiots, and I'm learning so much about you. And then she's like, I was like, I should say, this is a very poorly worded book. It's a very poorly worded title, but a very good book about personality typing. And Melissa Storm turned me on to it, and I've been waiting for like 12 weeks for it. And I was like, this is so interesting. But yeah, like that's how my wife is in Philly right now for a conference. And so we've been texting. I could have then just told her if she was here, but it's like, we've had a long text chain about it, and I never text my wife. We have like 1 text a year. All right. Think I have direction. I think I'm going to keep these 4 books at $4.99 and then I will deal with the rest of the books that's a November Russell problem. So
I love it. So keep the page as is
and
tell all your audience last chance at this bundle price every time you go up.
Cool. I love it.
And you'll get a flood of sales. By the way, that trilogy I mentioned with that big launch in 2019, we are rebranding it. We're rebranding just the box set. So the OG is available. We had a box set. It does really well, especially with audio, the box set. And we're making some changes to it. We've got white cover and we're going to relaunch it.
Yes. So this is so smart. I definitely, I know we're like going to end, but like, I have to talk about this because the reason you shouldn't bother necessarily to like worry too much about your first book launch is you don't know what you did wrong.
Yes.
Don't know what you did wrong. Like once you put out the book, like you'll be like, why did I do this? Why did I do this thing?
I should show you the covers of the original. I am embarrassed. You can find them on Goodreads. Maybe I won't show you, but we're a couple iterations in. Right. We are getting it right, guys. Yeah, so your first book might be your biggest failure and your biggest success.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can look up Death, which is now called Death. It used to be called Katrina Hates Everything. There used to be 3 books. Then it was called And Death Followed Behind Her. And then it was called like Death. And I've had so many covers for this book. And people are like, why isn't it on Goodreads? I'm like, it is. You just don't know it's on Goodreads because like it's in a whole different it's a whole different ass name. And so like, yes, I've spent so much money on getting the cover. And every time I'm like, oh, I should have done this. I should have done this. I should have done this. But like each iteration, you have to like be in there and being like, oh yeah, I fixed these issues, but now there's these 4 issues.
I don't think people talk about this. I'm going to put together a post with all of those covers and say, look, guys, like the Phoenix from the ashes, you can rise.
Feel like I have that post in mind thing. So like, I'm going to do it too. I'm going to find that link and I'll link it to you. And maybe we'll talk. I don't know what we're going to talk about next time because but it's going to be great. I can't wait to see you again. Thank you. We know what we're calling these now, I think, right? Do we know what we're calling these ones? These are like the messisodes.
They're the messy people.
We're actually getting really close to currently when we're talking. It's weird. Next time we talk, it'll be in June. And then there's only like 1, 2, 3, 5 weeks. So like, we're going to have to start talking about like actually getting the books onto the retailers and actually setting this stuff up. And I am freaking out. So we'll probably talk about that next time again.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening. For more, head on over to sixfigureauthorexperiment.com for archive access, resources, and more. We'll see you next time.